Spartans! What is your profession?
Fair enough. But we are going to move on to the, as I said, because about the West of the day, we didn't even mention the Utah Jazz in that discussion at all with Donovan Mitchell, all them guys. Phoenix Suns acquiring Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Like, the West is stacked. It's unbelievable. That doesn't mean that the East is weak, because the East is getting stronger and stronger, and that is where we are going to move on to. And first things first, we're going to talk about the Bucks. Greek Freak signing the biggest contract in NBA history. I can't remember what it was in dollars, but in pounds, it works out to be 170.1 million over 5 years. They've acquired Drew Holiday and Bobby Portis. K.A. tying down the Greek Freak was probably the biggest thing for the Bucks, but they've now got some shooters around him. Is this the time where the Greek Freak has to step up and say, this is why I've won the MVP in the regular season, and go on and win the chip?
Yeah, the simple answer, yes, because people still don't, even though he's the MVP, I think people still don't rate him. Like, if you listen to podcasts, if you listen to just people talk about him, even trainers, that he still has a lot to work on his game. He's lacking in so many areas. Yeah. Like, I heard someone say he can't Euro step his way to a championship. Like he has to bring more to his game. He can't just be just head down, charge to the rim, dunk. Yeah. Like, regular season, that's good. That will get you to top two, 3 seeds. But come playoff, when the game slows down, when it's more of a chess game, that cliche, when it comes chess, not checkers, and then the floor gets spaced out. We all know the usual things what happens in the playoffs. Like, that game doesn't work. We see that. That's why we saw it in other teams. Like, the iso ball is not as effective in the playoffs. Uh-huh. So and Giannis' version of the iso ball is just head down, as I said, charge the rim, and once in a while pop it out to a few players. So he's got a lot to learn. He's got a lot to still achieve in the NBA, I think.
Truth. Cheers to that, K. Truth. K said he can't Euro step his way to the chip, but now that he's got more shooters than just Chris Middleton around him, can he now just focus on being that battering ram through the middle? Because if he's doing that and he's got Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis, and Chris Middleton outside of the perimeter waiting for him to kick the ball out to them, that it takes less responsibility in him to develop the 3-point shot, does it not?
What he has done, he did work a little bit on his shooting, but it wasn't enough, as we saw in the playoffs. The problem with Giannis that I saw last season, and it was a surprise for me because I rate him very highly. I thought he was going to be the man to take over. The problem that he has and the team has is that Giannis needs a LeBron or a Kobe to totally take attention away from him. Because as you saw, what teams do, ever since that Toronto series 2 years ago, they learn if you wall him off, you will happily give whoever else on the perimeter a 3. That's okay. That's fine with them, because yes, they're good 3-point shooters, but they're not amazing 3-point shooters. They're not Steph Curry. They're not Clay. You know, you take away that point in the game, you take away a whole large part of the Bucks game. And I think what Giannis needs, he's always going to be that player. I think he's a Shaq type of player where he needs someone else.
Listen. So yeah, I'll let you finish. You said Shaq though. And Giannis in the same conversation, same sentence.
No, I said he's that Shaq type of player where he's very dominant in the paint. He's so dominant in there, but he needs other players outside.
I wouldn't even say that though, because I wouldn't even say his post game is that developed.
You don't think so?
Not really.
No,
not
No,
Shaq.
the reason his post game isn't as developed is because he's actually carrying the ball up the court. Like you see him, he's got his ball in the hand at the three, and his whole point is to drive in. I don't think he can have the ball in his hand. I know they got Drew Holiday now, who's going to play point guard, but Drew isn't LeBron.
No, but this is it. That's what I'm saying. His post game is not developed. Like, look at some of the greats who, if you were to say this is how you play that center role, big fundamentals, Tim Duncan, he cannot do half the stuff that he did. Like, he hasn't got the IQ of the great post like players and like on the inside. But, so he hasn't really got a post game.
But what I'm saying that he is actually unstoppable when he's charging because he's such a monster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got that strength and the physicality. But we've seen now, it's been like 2 years now. That's not, he's only getting you so far.
But he's only 26, though.
But this is my point. My point is that we've seen it for 2 years. But this season is different because they've added more shooters. So it's a case of...
They had shooters before that.
I don't think the shooters are really going to help that much because you're talking about Giannis improving. I think he has to develop that jump shot. I don't know if it was Skip Bayless who said it or Shannon, but they said if he doesn't develop that jump shot, he's never going to win a chip. On his own.
He's never going to win it on his own.
Yeah, he's never going to win it if he doesn't develop that jump shot. If he wants to stay with the Bucks and win it primarily on his own, because there's no other superstar there yet. There's stars. Middleton's a star. Brook Lopez kind of a star. Drew Holiday is kind of a star. Not superstars. So if he's going to win it on his own, he needs to develop that shot. He needs to. It's a must.
The thing is, he is determined. We did see some improvement in the last season, and I would only think that he's gone again. But I just think that the team around him wasn't good enough, and I think the pieces that the Bucks have acquired in the off season can only help the Greek Freak. And personally, I think he looked at it and said, "Yeah, these pieces can help me," because we all know that Giannis has got that single-minded mentality where he doesn't really want to join up with another superstar. He wants to kind of do it the old-fashioned way, like the likes of Kobe did it, where he wasn't paired with another superstar. He was paired with an all-star caliber player, but not another superstar, and proved that I don't need to do what LeBron done and go and create a super team. I don't need to do what KD done and go and create a super team. I can just try and do it with some all-star caliber pieces and try and do it on his own. That's the mentality he has. He's always been that way. And I don't think that the pieces that he got isn't good enough. It's just a case of, can they come together to go on and be that battering ram and go and win the chip? That's my personal opinion.
Do you think people judge him harshly though? when you think that LeBron, I know Kobe won it young. I think he was 22 when he won it.
Yeah,
Kobe when he won his first, 22, 23. But when you think that Jordan and LeBron won their first title at 27, 28, Greek Freak is only 26. I do think he's got more than enough time. I don't think it's championship or bust for him, even in the next, probably for another 1.5 more years.
Well, now that he's signed that new deal, I think he's bought himself time, to be honest, signing that new deal. So I don't think it's championship or bust for him next season. I think everyone knows who the favourites are, and I think not even the Bucks are the favourites in the East to a lot of people. Yeah. But what he needs to do is, people want to see a development in his game, but they also want to see him get to at least the conference finals in the East. To basically
I just want to see him dominating playoffs. I think that's the next step for him because he's done it in the regular season. He has not done it in the playoffs.
No.
If he dominates in the playoffs, then we can start putting him on a different level.
Of course. KA, Bucks, how far did they get this season, in your opinion, leading up to season? How far do you think they get?
Oh, so I thought you were saying how far did they get last season. I was trying to remember. I was like quickly just scrolling through my mind. So you're going. So
how far do you think they get this season?
Oh,
I know we haven't seen anyone play, but
I haven't really thought about that. It's quite. It's quite because I think they can get to. I think they'll be at a loss if they don't get to at least conference semi-finals, because I think people will see that as a failure at the time, but then I think that in the long run that's acceptable because of the East, and you're gonna have a lot more contenders because you're gonna have the Nets, you're gonna have Miami another year in the game, so another year's experience added to that. Toronto are still contenders, and then you're going to have 76ers there as well with Doc, which you think naturally would improve them. So I think conference semifinals will be a good season. I mean, I wouldn't be upset if I was a Bucks fan. I wouldn't be upset.
Truth, what do you think?
I think they need to meet the conference finals. At least. I think semi-finals.
But you can say that with any superstar. You have to say finals or bust.
No, I'm saying it's more important for Bucks because they've had the best season record for the past 2 seasons. Correct me if I'm wrong. They've had if you've been having the two best seasons for the last 2 seasons, and you've added to your team this year, surely you're looking at conference finals at least.
Oh yeah, the team. They want to win now, and they need to win now.
Yeah.
But I'm just sort of like, from the outside perspective, kind of considering, because TJ had a point, we got to see how the team gels, how the team comes together, because they have got a new roster. With the players that have gone out and players that have come in, they have to learn to gel. They have to learn how to work with Giannis. Giannis has to learn how to work with them and sort of adapt his game. So there's a lot that can happen this season.
I think they have to meet the conference finals. I think anything below conference final is not good enough.
But so you're saying, so what, conference final, that's 2 teams. So who's going to be the other team in the Eastern Conference Finals? Who's going to miss out?
What do you mean?
So you're saying, because there are only 2 teams get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So one spot has gone to the Bucks.
Yeah.
And then you've got one more spot for the Nets, one more spot to go to the Nets, between the Nets, Miami. We haven't mentioned Celtics. We haven't mentioned
Miami had an off year last year in terms of being in the bubble and having their young players perform at a higher level than they used to. I think it's going to be between
now
Bucks
they've tasted it though. Miami's tasted it, so now they've now got that expectation. They've got that experience. They've now got that belief.
I don't rate them that highly. I think they upset the Bucks. I think they upset the Celtics. I don't think it was they're better than them. I don't think their roster is better than those 2 teams.
So go on. So who's the other team? Who's missing out? Who's making the finals? If Bucks are taking that one.
I told you. It'll come down to Bucks and Nets for the Eastern Conference
in
finals.
The finals.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just like, because 76ers are going to be up there. They're going to expect, especially adding Doc, they're going to expect to go to the finals.
Come on, man. You're putting an underachieving coach with the underachieving center like what's his name? Embiid. You got a man that can't shoot, that don't want to shoot in Simmons. Come on, man. You got Dwight Howard there who's going for a retirement party. You got Danny Green that couldn't hit a free to save his life in the back. Come on.
Well, even if you don't rate them, man, but they're gonna be up there in the mix.
Up where I could see them going out first round again. I'm sorry. You know what? That's doing thing a disservice. That's doing Doc Rivers a disservice. He's going to be 3-1 up in the second round and go out again too. He's going to go out again in the second round. Sorry. Let's stick to form.
Wow.
Honestly.
Guys, comment down below, man. Let us know. Is he speaking the truth?
I'm speaking the truth.
Oh dear.
But that's my point, though. Sorry, I'll let us move on. But like, only 2 teams are making it to the finals in the East. So who's gonna miss out? As we said, East have gotten better, and so I don't think it's as straightforward for the Bucks to say we're gonna be there and no one's stopping us.
And that is true. The East has gotten better. As I said, the West is stacked and it's still the better conference, but the East is not far behind. Much improvement in the last 3-4 years for the East. And we are going to move on to the team that the truth tipped to make the conference finals, and that is the enigma that is called the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, newly formed after the New Jersey Nets acquiring one all superstar and a guy that
I think you could call Kyrie a superstar.
A guy that has all-star written all over him, but turns out to be some idiot. But Brooklyn Nets, they apparently have a coach. I mean, if you go by what Kyrie says, they haven't got a coach. But
he's taking it back. You know, those statements. Apparently, he's like rescinded. Like he's like stepped away from those comments on Nash. He's not as gung ho.
Yeah,
he's showing his faith in national.
We have got the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, KD coming back from that horrendous injury that he suffered for the Golden State Warriors. Kyrie there being Kyrie and Dinwiddie and DeAndre Jordan. Truth, what are the expectations for the Brooklyn Nets this upcoming season?
I'll tell you what, because I watched a few preseason games and I've seen KD play and he looks good, man. He looks what KD is. He's a monster. KD is the only person on the bronze level when it comes to winning games, winning titles. The only person on that level, on the bronze level, is KD in this generation, because he's such an efficient scorer. And as Stephen A says, he's 6'11", nearly 7 foot, with a 8 foot and wingspan, with a 7'6" wingspan. He could do it all, man. He could drive. He can hit the perimeter. He's got a good mid range. He can do it all. Probably the best player in the East. So when you have the best player in the East, there's only one place that you need to go, and that's the conference finals. Whether they're tipped to win it all, I think they're a year too early because they haven't had a deep playoff run before. Those young guys have to get used to it. Karis LeVert, Dinwiddie. I know DeAndre Jordan's experienced, but he hasn't done it. He's had bad memories with Clippers. So Kyrie's Kyrie. We don't know how. As you said, the enigma. We don't know what is going to happen. All of a sudden, Kyrie might just turn on everybody and start cussing everyone out. The team, he might get traded for a certain James Harden. You just never know what's going to happen with that guy. So I think it's a bit too soon for them to be there for the finals, the NBA finals, but conference finals, I can definitely see them making.
100%. KA, one, do you concur with what the truth said? And two, KD coming back from that injury, I know the truth said in preseason he's looked pretty good, but can we really expect the KD that we saw at your beloved OKC and then Golden State? Can he come back 100% from that. It was his Achilles, right? It was his Achilles, isn't it?
Achilles.
Yeah, from
Achilles
that Achilles
and calf
injury.
as well. Yeah.
As Max Kellerman would say, we haven't really seen anybody apart from one man and one woman from when the NBA had begun that have come back from the Achilles injury and still been the best version of themselves. Can KD come back and still be the best version of himself in this upcoming season?
I think he can, but it's going to be a mental challenge to overcome because we've seen him. He came back with Golden State. He wanted to push himself. He thought he could still do it, and he re-injured himself mid-game. And I think that will, for any human being, that's going to play on your mind. Even though he is fit and healthy, he's taken time out, the necessary time, and had the surgery, but his mind will tell him to do something. His body will want to do stuff and his mind's going to might play a few tricks on him a couple of times but I don't know. I think he still can. He's still young enough. He's still on the right side of like 30, 28, 30. I can't remember how old he is.
No, he's 31 now, isn't it?
Oh, shame, is he?
32,
right.
Sorry, 32.
Really? I didn't know he was that old. I forgot.
Because he missed that year, you're like...
Yeah, I forgot. I did. Right. Yeah. Wow. Okay. No, but he's still in prime years though, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference.
I don't think his game is as explosive as that would make the injury more than it is. I think if someone like a Giannis got a Achilles, that will impact him a lot. I think KD's game is a lot more smoother. As I said, he can hit the perimeter shots, he can hit that mid range. He can drive if he wants. Yeah,
but that's it. That, as you just mentioned, the driving, that's still part of his game. He's got that in his locker, where he can drive and the pull up 15-footer is a big part of his game, where he can just stop on a dime, as they say in the States.
I know that's the one thing that may,
So that will be putting a bit of pressure on his Achilles. So, but I think he can still dominate and still be the KD. That best version of himself is a subjective thing, really. We just have to wait and see. But even if he's back to 50% of himself, that makes Nets contenders. I think the real issue is, which everyone talks about, but especially with KD, can he come back and lead the team?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Well, hey, KA, I was going to ask that question.
He needs to. Someone needs to tell him from his camp, or he needs to realize himself. For Nets to win, he needs to be the lead. Even though Kyrie, at some points, will be a leader on the court or something in the locker room, be the most vocal, but on the grander scale, he needs to be the leader. He needs to be the one that ultimately has the final say.
I want to see people like TJ, our analysts like TJ, put pressure on KD to, actually win. Because as I said, that Golden State trophy is not his.
No, it's not. It's not.
Curry's got that at home. So I want to see people.
I'm one of those advocates. Like, that's the one thing, and I love KD. And obviously, for me, like, in them years when he was at Golden State, obviously no one was really talking about LeBron. It was all about KD. But as far as I'm concerned, those trophies aren't his. They're Steph Curry's.
Because he was the leader. It was his team.
It was Steph Curry's team. And obviously we saw in KD's younger years when he was at OKC, he couldn't lead that team to win something. So as far as
I'm concerned... what? Sorry, you said what you just said just now is so funny how life works, because he's kind of now in the same situation that he was in OKC.
Yep.
With Kyrie is the Westbrook, bro. Like, can he control Westbrook on the court? And Westbrook was one of the reasons why he left. He said that he used to take too many shots. Kyrie's gonna want the ball in his hand. Like, can he lead and still play next to a Kyrie and lead that Kyrie? That's way Kyrie played next to KD and was able to allow KD to be KD. But
we're definitely gonna see. I think this is this is going to be the test. But I said, I want the same pressure because, as I said, KD's on the same level as LeBron for me. So I think KD needs to have that pressure from the media,
100%,
from the analysts.
100%.
I think people got easy on him in the start because of his injury. He's been
Yeah,
out for so long.
that's fine.
Yeah, but when it like, obviously we're gonna have to see how it plays out with his injury and stuff.
Yeah,
because obviously if he goes out for a large chunk of the season, that pressure just automatically gets released because it's just like, all right, cool, he can't come back from it. But if he does play and he does get the Nets into a position where they can try and win, like they look good and they're coming like first or second in the East, that pressure has to be applied. You have to have the same amount of energy that we all had for LeBron as we do for KD, because they're on that similar level when it comes to basketball. So as far as I'm concerned, the chips that he's won in Golden State, yeah, you can say you've got chips, but you haven't led a team to do that. It was Steph's team. You've now got the Brooklyn Nets. It's not about Kyrie. The Brooklyn Nets didn't want Kyrie. It's because you said you wanted Kyrie with you as to why Kyrie's at the Brooklyn Nets, because the Brooklyn Nets probably didn't want to go anywhere near him. So it's down to you now to go out and win. And as I said, and I think KA said it as well. I think KA said this might be also true. I can't remember that. So it's a season too soon for him. But all right, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for this season, just so you can, obviously the team needs to adjust and whatnot, but conference finals is the minimum for them. But next season, there is absolutely no excuses for you. Like, you'll have the year where you settled in, you'll have the year to gel, and you'll have the year to see how your Achilles reacts to you playing basketball. Next season is a season where I'm like, no excuses, no nothing. If you don't go on and bring this franchise with a chip, then there's serious questions about your credentials of being at the upper echelons of the NBA. It's as simple as that.
He's still upper echelons.
Oh no! Obviously he is, but you know what I'm talking about, KA. Like the table, like, you know, there's certain tables that you can sit around. Like KD, you can't join certain tables. Like the way how people speak about you, you're not on them tables yet, and you can't join it until you bring the Brooklyn Nets to achieve. If he had done it with OKC, he'd be sitting at them tables.
Exactly. Just one with OKC, he would comfortably at the table, even with just the one at OKC.
Exactly.
Even if he never won at Golden State, like he probably wouldn't have left OKC. But let's just say he just won one trophy at OKC, he would have been comfortably at that table. No one would have said anything. The fact that there's questions now show how little those trophies mean at Golden State, because he has to go and prove it for me. He has to. He's that good that he has to go and prove it.
100%. But it's not just about KD. As they say, there's no iron team. But we need to talk about a certain individual that's creating all the headlines for the Brooklyn Nets, and that is a certain Kyrie Irving, always being talked about in the media, even though he doesn't want to talk to the media until...
Is he still got the blackout going on?
He's spoken to the media because he didn't want to be getting them 25 grand fines every time he didn't speak to them. So, but
I'm only here because I don't want to get fined. That's it.
I'm telling you, but I just want to read something to you lot that Kyrie said. It's a quote from him. And he basically says, it's really just about how I felt about the mistreatment of certain artists when we get to a certain platform of when we make decisions within our lives to have full control and ownership. Does that mean anything to you lot?
Bro, you lost me at artist. I'm like, what, artist? I like painted Picasso. Are you about to go perform at the Super Bowl final? I'm like, I was like, art.
Like, basically, that's a quote that Kyrie said when he stopped his blackout and addressed the media. And no one knows what he's talking about. I think if you try and decipher it, he's basically saying that he doesn't feel like he gets treated well by the media. And he says whatever he does, he's getting judged way too harshly. And he doesn't get to control the narrative and blah. I don't know, to be honest. Like, no one knows what he's talking about, but this is just a Kyrie thing that Kyrie comes out with. But this all stems back to, obviously, the whole going on KD's podcast and basically indirectly talking about LeBron. And obviously he's saying that the media put words in his mouth because he never called out LeBron's name. Truth. The enigma that is Kyrie. Does he just need to focus on basketball and stop all the nonsense that goes on off the court?
You and me both know those man them back in high school or college that had all the talent in the world, but the mentality just was not there. That is Kyrie to a T. He is so talented. I think in terms of watching, I don't think there's anyone I would prefer to watch than Kyrie. His handles are too much.
Probably the best ball handles in basketball.
His handles are dirty. The fact that he does what he does in matches is something. But then you just want his attitude to match, the talent that he has. He doesn't need to say all this stuff. He doesn't need to. For me, as a black man, I don't want him to be. I don't want him to be targeted. No, because he's. When people see it, when certain people of other political viewpoints see it.
Other race.
Now, political viewpoints, because you get some black Trump supporters and that. So when you see them, they're just looking at him and be like, yeah, looking another typical idiot, like no substance. I don't want to see that, because he's got a responsibility. That's what it is. He's got a responsibility as a top star. If he was a nobody and he was crap, no one would give a damn what he says. But because he's a top star, he needs to be careful with his words, with his opinions. You can't be coming out saying stuff like flat earth. You can't be coming out saying that you don't need a coach. You can't be coming out and saying this stuff, man. It reflects so badly on you as a person and what you represent. So just go out and just do your talking on the court, man. Stop playing victim. Stop this nonsense. It's too much now. It's too much, to be honest.
It is too much, and it's a bunch of nonsense, if I'm honest. And it's allowing people to just dislike him, and it detracts from what he can do on the court. Because when he's on the court and he's on form, like, he's one of the best to watch, and he can win games. We've all seen it, and we all know it. Mr. K.A. His attitude, though, we saw it at the Cavaliers. We saw it at the Celtics. Is Kyrie poison to any franchise that he goes to now? Or can KD rein him in and allow him to be the superstar that he is?
Oh God, why do I have to answer this question, man? I can't. But KD, I can't talk. I can't. I really have to do my boy KD day, man, because we all seen how KD got spoke to by Danny Green, man, and there's no smoke without fire, man. So that's all I can say, bro. And all the stuff. KD himself is full of antics and off the court stuff. So just bringing them together, Mr.
Volatile,
KD's burner account, all sorts, like. So, and now they got the platform, the podcast here in Brooklyn. I don't know if I call him poison, but he's got a track record. And he's set a trend, and he's already started and shown it.
Yeah.
So it's like not much. I don't think anything's going to change. It's just how it is with Kyrie and KD. I don't think he can. I think he just has to. They both just have to just hope that talent wins out.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
They just
I think that's what they, yeah.
That's what they just have to try and do, man. Just hope that on the day,
I agree.
My shots drop and yours don't. And clutch, and they're both clutch. So they have the opportunity. They've got the moment. They both can make plays when it counts.
No, you're 100% right in what you said there, and they have got pieces around them because Brooklyn Nets were right. The two of them didn't do too badly last season, so there are pieces around them that can help them to the promised land and bring them to the chip. But in the event that Kyrie does what he's known for and self-destructs, there is a certain individual in Houston that wants to reunite with KD. And that is the man called James Harden, who is being touted as either going to the Brooklyn Nets or the 76ers. In an ideal world, if Brooklyn could offload everybody apart from KD and Kyrie and bring James Harden into the fold, does that automatically say that, the title is over and done with?
No,
it doesn't, but it makes them an automatic contender. Like, with all that talent, you cannot deny.
I don't think they become a contender with him. They lose. They lose two.
They've got two MVP. They've got two
MVPs and one All-Star.
You are forgetting. You cannot just chuck a bunch of players together and be like, go and win. Harden and Kyrie are the same player. They're the same player.
No, we agree, but we're just like on paper. When you just see the three names, Kyrie, KD, and James on one team, you cannot say that this is not a team that will be a force.
Nah, I don't agree.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The reason why everyone knew that Golden State were gonna do bits is because KD was a complementary piece. Everyone had their role. When LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, they all had their role. I agree
with everything you're saying, but I just want it black and white named on a sheet.
It's not that easy no more. You can't just chuck names together and be like, these guys are gonna do bits. They have to be complementary pieces to one another. I think adding Harden with KD and Kyrie now makes Nets a worse team than what they already have. Not only would you have to give up all the complementary pieces they already have, because we're talking about you have to give up Dinwiddie, Levert. I'm talking about a lot. You don't give up a player of Harden's caliber to just get rookies. You need to get a full rack of rookies, and you're gonna need to get some first round picks. So I think it makes them a worse team.
Okay, respond to that, please.
It does not make them a. I don't necessarily agree.
So you're telling me. So the team that Brooklyn Nets got to the playoffs with was minus Kyrie. These players played out of their skin, and this is what Nets were banking their future on. So you either give up Kyrie and more assets, or you give up all of your young core. And just adding Harden to those three that don't complement one another, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. It didn't work with Rockets. Him and Westbrook were friends, and it still didn't work. So you're going to add someone who's more ball dominant than probably Westbrook in Kyrie with Harden. How is it going to work?
No, we're not saying it's going to work. We agree with you.
Yeah.
But the way that you're saying that, automatically
they'll be a worse team.
No, they won't be
They won't be a
West.
contender.
They won't be
No,
West.
they listen. If you put Harden with those two, they have to be automatically favourites.
Why no?
Irrespective of what you've been, obviously, like we have to look at it and think, they have to gel together and whatnot, blah blah blah. But you have
It's not just gelling; they lose too much.
KD and Harden, who are two MVP caliber players, MVP players, and then you've got Kyrie, who is an all-star player. Like, if you're not winning the chip with those three, then whoever's coach, well, Steve Nash, but whoever's coaching them doesn't deserve to be coaching. Because
Okay, tell me. Okay. Let's look at their roster. Let's look what they would have to give up in a perfect world to get Harden. I'm saying they give up Levert. They probably have to give up Jared Allen, who's probably their only center. DeAndre Jordan can play center, but come on. Dinwiddie, they'll definitely have to give up. Maybe Harris. But I'm saying 3 for now.
They don't have to give up all them players. They can give up picks as well to subsidize someone.
No,
For Harden.
To be fair, they'd have to give up all those players.
For Harden, who's under contract. Come on.
In the ideal world, they'd have to give up all those players plus picks to get him. But we're thinking fantasy now. But I don't know, truth. Like, that's a bit far-fetched saying they'd be worse off. But
they'll be worse off. How do you play Durant, Kyrie, and Harden in a team?
Same way they played Westbrook, Harden, Durant,
exactly
Ibaka in the same team. But
exactly, and it didn't work.
That was more inexperienced than the players on show. But KA, I wanted to ask you, in an ideal world, that would be Netz's fantasy. But do you then get rid of the troublemaker that is Kyrie and obviously picks to then get James Harden in with KD?
Yeah, no, you would, because as True said, they're more or less the same player. But that trade wouldn't make sense. Why would you give up Kyrie for Harden? You're just moving. Yeah. You're making sideways moves. It wouldn't make sense at all. So they would have to find a way to keep Kyrie, find a way to mortgage the farm and just like give up. Like, but they would just shoot. But then it's like they saw what happened with they themselves would have witnessed what happened to Houston. So why would they allow Houston to do to them what happened to themselves? Like, so, I don't know.
It's a mess, really. This is why Harden's not leaving, because no team can really chuck a package together for him that would be worth him leaving. And then at the same time, when you think about the players that you probably want to trade him for, Kyrie, you're thinking him and John Wall, you're thinking, not really. You think you throw in Ben Simmons in there, and you're like, not really. So it's like, there's no package good enough. Yeah, there's no good package for him.
I wouldn't trade him at the 76ers.
But he's come out and he's taken back his contract of requests.
Oh,
he had to. He was getting some bad heat, man. He was getting some.
He's come back. He's rescinded it.
Ooh,
apparently. So I've heard.
He was getting too much heat because even Charles Barkley was going in on him about, and it's true. He asked for everything at the Rockets has been all Harden.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just jump ship like Kyrie's planning to do in 2 years. I'm not Kyrie, like Kawhi's planning to do in 2 years. You know, you can't just jump ship after asking for that much. So
it's true, but we will watch this space because that saga isn't over. And even though we say it, that trade to the 76ers could possibly be on, whether it be Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, because 76ers haven't even got enough pieces to try and keep the both of them. But just on a final note, I wanted to ask you lot, we've talked about Brooklyn, we've talked about the Bucks. KA, for you, who else in the East could possibly challenge? We want to the Bucks or the Nets. I know you said there's only 2 teams there, but who for you could like upset and say, look, we're going to get a piece of the pie as well? Who do you think in the East can do that?
As I said earlier on, 76ers are up there. I think Miami could take that next step. I haven't really paid attention to what they've been doing in the preseason, so I'll be.
A lot of people have been sleeping on Miami Heat. I don't know if it's a case of they thought it was just a fluke, but a lot of people have been sleeping on them.
Yeah, maybe as the truth said, they believe, and as he believes that they overachieved, that they might be 2 years ahead of the game, sort of thing, ahead of their timeline of getting to the finals. So, but I think that the fact that they've gotten there, as I said earlier on, it will help them take that next step because they've tasted that experience. They've tasted the finals. Their players are going to be back healthy, and even though it's a short preseason, I think that actually works in their favor, where they can still ride off that high of getting to the finals. So I think Miami could be up there.
Fair enough. 76ers in Miami from Mr. K. Truth, what do you think?
I just think Bucks and Nets are just going to be too far away, more experienced than everyone else. Miami, as I said, it was a good run last year, but I think it was more of them upsetting rather than the norm. They got a good team, but I just don't believe it's enough. They're still too young. You've got Celtics. I'm surprised Thing didn't mention Celtics.
They've lost a couple. Like they've lost Hayward and Kemba's out for a while as well.
Kemba's out. Oh,
yeah.
So Celtics are a strange one because in Jaylen Brown and Tatum, they've had enough experience now. Like they should be comfortably getting ready for a long playoff run. As you said, they lost Hayward, but Hayward was always injured. Like, he got injured the other day. Man injured his finger. For sure. He's not of a big miss for me. Kemba being out for a while is a huge issue. I think they should have done more in the offseason. I didn't like their business really and truly. Who did they add? They added Tristan Thompson. They lost what's her name? Their center, forgot his name. Kanter. Yeah, they lost to Kanter. So
they still haven't sorted out their center problem because that was their biggest problem.
Maybe Taco Fall's gonna come in and finally be one. Why did you say that? Taco Falls. Hey, it's gonna be his year this year.
Oh my gosh.
A guy could barely move. But so I expect Celtic to be number 3. Raptors lost too much. Losing their backer, losing Gasol. I think they lost quite a lot there to keep up with them. Hawks are going to be up there. I think they've done some good business around Trae Young. So, yeah, but I think the only 2 teams, I'm not going to mention the 76ers. I think we know what they're going to do. They're not going to surprise nobody. They're just going to be where they always are.
Surprise you, man.
They're going to be where they always are. Second round exit. That's it for them. The only people that's going to challenge the big 2 for me is probably going to be Celtics.
Fair enough. I believe it's just Celtics. Me personally, I think the 76ers will come good this year. Personally, I think if Ben Simmons...
You gotta be sold the dream, man. You gotta be sold the dream, I'm sorry.
We're not even being sold the dream at all, man. It's just that...
Doc will come good. And I think Simmons and Embiid, even though they don't like each other, I think Ben Simmons being fully fit, I think they might do something. I'm not saying they'll get to the conference finals, but I think they may upset the apple cart, and I'm not sleeping on Miami Heat at all with Jimmy Buckets, Bam Adebayo, who's going to be an absolute superstar, and the shooters and Hero. And that I think that I'm not going to sleep on Miami, especially getting to the finals where they got a taste of it, as KA said. 100%. I think that they could upset, but I wouldn't go out. I can't look too far past the Bucks and the Nets getting to the conference finals. But just before we wrap up, just in as short a word as possible, because obviously we're going to have much more time to talk about the NBA. But as a preview, just off right now, looking at the rosters, having a look at the preseason, Mr. KA, who wins the chip for you this season?
Lakers. Just say Lakers.
Lakers for you, Truth?
Lakers in 5.
Man's in. How are you cool? 5.
Lakers in 5.
Man said Lakers in 5, and personally, it will be a clean sweep for me in terms of saying Lakers, but we shall see how the season unfolds. But that is it for us. I know there's so much more that we could cover in the NBA, but there's only so much time that we have because we all have kids, we all have lives, and we all have jobs. But I want to say thank you very much to my guys, Mr. KA and the Truth. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Here, man.
Peace.
Yes. And just before we leave, as we always say, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe on the
as I always say, man, tell the Truth that he speaks nothing but the opposite of his name. Tell him his name is
I'm
not
the truth.
Tell him that he comes out of nonsense, man.
People just don't want to hear it because it's truth. You know what you're going to say? The truth hurts.
Tell him about 76ers. Tell him about the Brooklyn team. Anyway, guys.
Tell him about Doc Rivers and Ty Lue.
Yes.
Tell him about those two. But yes, people, so much more content for you to come out. We are going to have our pre-Christmas show, which probably be about the wrap of the weekend fixtures in the Premier League. And we are going to have an end-of-year wrap-up show where we're going to try and bring all the sports into one in a special as well. And we're going to try and get all the man them on that one, just like we had on the WWE. We're going to try and get everyone on here so everyone can have their say, because that was probably one of the best ones that we've done so far. But I want to say, have a good day, enjoy yourselves, and just have a good one. Stay safe out there, people. Peace.
Wear your face mask.